The next topic, the next bullet pins in this list are continuation would take directly after season 4, not far away in the future or in our present. Continuation would continue to dig into backstories to provide drama and red herring, like in Kolyoko. Continuation would be animated, no live action. Um, yeah, that's it.
Right.
So those are the bullet pins we'll discuss about now. Um, is going the continuation route the right route, or should they go with a full on reboot? And that's what we're gonna discuss today. For me, it's definitely a reboot, just because it's a this show is 20 years old now, and so it's gonna be kind of hard to. I mean, they can do a continuation. No one's stopping them, but it's just when you have new fans. That's the thing. That's the key. Is the new fans that will like hear about this. They have to watch four 97 episodes of Kolyoko to like understand this new season. And it's gonna be it's just more hard to do.
Well, it's one reason why they're putting the like the compilations out so that anyone that wants to see what the hubbub's about.
Actually, I mean,
Maybe
maybe,
more
but
so,
I honestly think the compilation thing is just to help sell the IP. They're trying to look
I
for
mean,
buyers.
it could do both.
They can, and I know, and I've been hearing since they did this. Because I know at first it was like, whoa, the YouTube channels they're active again. Apparently, that this is what a lot of companies do with shows. They do a lot of compilation things for the algorithm, is what I hear. So like that's just a thing that companies do, I guess, which makes sense to me. But when doing a reboot, you can start the story over, not do it completely the same, of course. It just have the old fans experience something new, and then obviously the new fans will be completely new to it. And what's the word? I'm trying to pronounce this. I'm going to pronounce this right. Longevity,
Longevity.
longevity. Yeah,
Longevity.
yeah. So
Longevity.
that's a very important thing here. That's one of the biggest like pros. If they do a reboot, this can last like a decade. If they do a continuation, it's probably just gonna be one season, maybe. That's what I'm thinking, or maybe like a movie, and then that's it. Maybe that is their goal. Maybe they don't. Maybe Sophie and Jerome don't plan to do. They just want to do like one last project, maybe. But if they do want to do more with it, then a reboot is just a more ideal way. That's pretty much my gist. I'll probably have more to say more thoughts will come up to my head when I hear everyone else share. But I will give it straight to Dylan.
I will leave the bulk of my opinions to Wazy because him and I
Yeah.
heavily agree on a
Yeah.
lot of reasons
Okay.
for why it
Yes.
should be a reboot as opposed to a continuation. So I'm gonna leave it for when we get to him for the bulk of my opinions, but part of the gist is sort of what Cam touched on. The show's old. There's a lot of existing content that fans would be forced to rewatch.
Yeah.
And that existing content has not aged well, especially in the dialogue and tropes it utilizes are very early 2000s.
Yeah,
Like
I've mentioned that in my-
painfully early 2000s.
yeah. I mentioned that in my video.
So,
Oh yeah.
like I said, I'm gonna leave a lot more for Wazy to explain and to drop, but like a base level reboot camp. All right,
Got it.
whoever's next.
I think we could have it like either way, honestly. Like, I'm really happy to see that we're gonna get an actual season 5.
True.
Because there are, like, I've said this before. There were a lot of things that came up that, whenever fully resolved, in terms of, like in terms of the show, or in terms of because like there's a lot of stuff like what happened to Aelita and about the whole government and everything and all that garbage. So I think continuation is good to kind of like wrap up all the loose ends because Kolyoko has always had a lot of unanswered questions, and I'm not gonna repeat my whole stance on like how I feel about like that kind of thing being intentional. I think this is their chance to answer those questions and also present new and more compelling mysteries where appropriate. Um, in terms of like if they were to do a reboot, I would also be happy about that. I'd be happy to get any Code Lyoko content that's actually, that pleases everyone. Because I know there's people out there that actually do enjoy Evolution. I'm not gonna shit on them. But like if they produce thing and it has like a majority positive response, it keeps to the traditions of the series while also being really, while also being good, being well written and being compelling. Like it's like the Voltron like new defenders of Code Lyoko, where they take the old they take the old property and they give it a new coat of paint, change some things around, and for the most part, up until the last season, it was actually like the preferred version. So I'm fine with it both ways. What I would like is for them to do this continuation, get all that out of the way, have a conclusive finale ending, and then, if the train is still rolling, go back and do a reboot, or like a sequel series or something. I don't know, whatever comes first.
Okay.
But that's me.
Yeah, because like if they do this continuation and it does super well, and it's like, man, what what else can we do now? It did like it blew up, still is, and we finished. That's just like reboot. That's you can keep it going longer, and but again, I don't know. Maybe that's just not their plan. Even if it does blow up, even if their new season 5 blows up, I think they're done no matter what. It's interesting. I really wish we got this question asked like about a reboot to Sophie and them. I don't think we had 2 interviews or 3 in the past year, and I don't think that's ever been brought up to them. All right, Colton, you're up next.
Okay, so Kyoryoko as a continuation or a reboot? I think that's the question.
Yeah.
Me personally, I wouldn't mind either way.
Mm-hmm.
I get the feeling that Sophie and them would want to do a continuation, but I also see the argument of them doing a reboot instead would probably be the better option.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many new people would get into the show if it was a continuation or if it was a reboot. From a business perspective, I don't really know. Because there's a lot of people who remember Koyoko. Like, I'm on Twitter all the time and I see it.
The whole series is on YouTube already.
Mm-hmm.
Right, the whole series is on YouTube, and so yeah, I don't. By the way, I don't know how well the algorithm works with these Koyoko episodes that they're uploading, because I think the biggest video has like almost 7,000 views. So I don't know how they would work. A continuation I'd be fine with, because I'm a big Koyoko fan, and I'm also a big Kingdom Hearts fan. That's been going on for 20 years as well. So in a sense, anything that's a continuation, I'll go through it all, and just in order for me to catch up. But a reboot, it would help solve different stuff.
Plot holes.
Plot holes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And make the show more 2024 friendly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, friendly.
I don't know which one I would prefer, but either way, I would be fine with it, because more Koyoko content.
Exactly. Yeah.
If I'm around for like more Koyoko content, that's what matters to me, really.
Yeah.
That way, I can just have a ball with it and whatnot.
Yeah, that's what I feel like most people just want and that's definitely fair. I agree with that. I just want new Koyoko content. I just thinking about long term. All right.
Okay, so is it my turn?
Yeah.
Right. I've got like a video that I made that for I'm having trouble speaking at the moment.
It's okay.
For like this hot take, so I'm gonna send it right now.
I think it's a bad idea to continue Code Lyoko. It always rubs me the wrong way when a show or movie that hasn't seen the light of day for 20 years all of a sudden gets a sequel, but I do have a couple of reasons why I wouldn't want to see a 12-year wait for this continuation. First of all, the show is over 20 years old, and 2003 is far away from 2024. A lot of things has happened, and a lot of technology advances has happened too. It would be super jarring if a postmodern show that takes place in the early 2000s suddenly talked about modern social media, blogging, Twitch streaming, or smartphones and iPads when things like that never existed back in that era, or at the very least wasn't sustainable back then. You also can't have it take place in the 2000s either because it's alienating to the kids that, I assume, will be Code Lyoko's new audience, even if the bone is thrown to our generation, the people who grew up with the show. Also, a lot of things wouldn't be able to fly in this day and age. I can't imagine half of the things the characters say or do in a glorified way will go very well for a modern audience. Second of all, it's another sequel series. As if we don't have enough divisive canon continuations that contradict each other. I don't exactly want another one of those because it would mean another retcon, and it could end up worse than Evolution, as it has been at least 17 years since Sophie was a writer to the show, and it's more likely she has lost her touch on making a good Code Lyoko continuation that could undeniably tank either her or the show's reputation even further. And criticism these days towards a show or creator can spread like wildfire. If anything new should be done with Code Lyoko in this day and age, it should be a reboot. At least with reboots, you're not treading and retconning established canon, and with the way the internet is and with the way technology is, you can make new scenarios and stories the characters can interact with. Maybe even see if the way things that could have been done better or unused concepts could see the light of day. Maybe tackle themes that could never be tackled in the past, like neurodivergence, LGBT, and more heavier themes, and put it on a streaming platform or web format for a wide audience. I know reboots haven't had the best track record in the past 10 years, and trust me, I know. But if in the right hands, and hopefully with writers that understand the previous source material and respects the fans, it could actually work.
Do you have anything you wanted to comment on?
The only thing I had to comment was that I forgot about to mention that that if they decide like to continue it for like the adults, that it also wouldn't go very well because like trying to make something for children into something for adults is a bad idea.
I have a lot of things to say about that, but go on.
You're talking about the target audience?
Well, the target audience, like we don't know what the target audience is for, to be honest. Like why are they like bringing Code Lyoko back all of a sudden? Like is it for us? Is it for the new generation? Who is it for?
I think at most they'd make it like 14A.
I think it would probably be along. Well, actually, it's a very good question. I would say they're still gonna have the same mindset of like making sure it's good for both kids and adults to enjoy. But I think I just have a feeling if they get people to buy the rights that they would probably go a little bit more on the edgy side, not like crazy, but I think it would be a bit more dark. And Code Lyoko already has like a good amount of dark in it, but yeah, that's just my feeling. I think they'll go a bit more mature this time.
Yeah. But it'd be a bit more jarring if they all of a sudden showed blood and gore in it.
Yeah.
For our generation.
Depends on it depends on really how.
It's like
Right. It depends on how much if they're gonna go about that route.
Yeah.
All right, Wazy, you are up.
Oh boy. Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
I actually don't have anything to say about this. I'm pretty indifferent to Code Lyoko coming back.
I mean, because Code Lyoko was trash. It's because Code Lyoko was trash. I mean, come on.
Yes, exactly. Code Lyoko was garbage.
Cap.
Thank you. No, for real.
He's
Okay,
kidding. It's just a joke.
It was just a prank.
It's just a prank, bro.
No, it is. So a couple of things I want to comment on before I get into the main of just like all of this. But first, Kat's video on the subject is excellent. She also has a lot of the points that I have as well. Like, I've been a big advocate for Team Reboot for a lot of reasons, and a lot of them line up with that video. Cam probably just played it, but yeah, Kat's video is great. One of One of the other things I'm going to comment on before I get into the main meat of the argument as well, making Code Lyoko as a show for adults. It's something that I actually have a lot of a say on, because I feel like it's something that the animation community in general just really wants. That yes, you bring back any show and it should be for adults. It should have blood and swearing and sex and stuff like that. And it's like it can work, but it depends on the show. I call
Yeah.
this the Samurai Jack approach,
Oh, yeah.
because that's the show that did that, but it did it really well. And the reason that it worked for Samurai Jack is because it was a show that already leaned on more mature tropes and like more mature in terms of both the presentation of its narrative, as well as just what Samurai Jack as a show was about. This samurai who from the past went all over the world to train for the greatest masters, to slay a demon in the post-apocalyptic future. That is a really easy show to just like ramp up to, yeah, for adults.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on this. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this kind of shit.
Yeah, we know.
That's fair. There are another show that did this at least well for one season. Is Young Justice, because it was already part of the greater DC universe and leaned into a lot of the darker themes of the DC universe. The characters themselves also grew up and are like now adults, so it was easy to lean into that sort of thing as well. And it's like that sort of revival can work for some shows, but it is not a one size fits all type of thing. For Code Lyoko, I do actually think it's doable, but not in the way that Sophie and Jerome seem to want to be doing it, in where we are continuing directly from the end of the original show, because these are still high schoolers, and it's like, because they're like, oh god, Yumi is in ninth grade at the end of the original show, and it's like you, assuming it's the next school year, you've got 9th and 10th graders doing all of the leaning into a more edgier show. Possible to do, yes. Code Lyoko did have darker elements to it, yes, but it's not. At least me personally, I would not prefer for a Code Lyoko reboot to do that, unless under the circumstances that we're looking at right now. But that is just me. That is a whole larger subject, but since it was brought up, I did want to touch on it. But yeah, so reboot versus continuation. I will say that as a fan, I would absolutely adore a continuation of Code Lyoko. I think that the original series, for what it is, yeah, like a lot of people have been saying, it still has a lot of unanswered questions. There's still room for more. What happened to Aelita's mom? What could possibly be done a lot of the Project Carthage questions, those sorts of things. It's like, yeah, there's a lot that could be said with a direct continuation of Code Lyoko. You could make a lot of good stuff with a direct continuation of Code Lyoko, and I would be 100% here for it. As a kid, I always wanted the story to continue directly from the end of the original show. As a kid, and even as an adult, I'm someone who
I get it.
enjoys. Oh my god. I'm someone who enjoys Code Lyoko Evolution, for example, as a continuation. It's not perfect. Before anyone gets on me, it's not perfect.
Wait. You're telling me Code Lyoko Evolution, the canon continuation of the show, isn't good? The fuck you on, Wazy? Doesn't canon mean that it's good?
Obviously, canon content is only exclusively good content, don't you know? God.
I almost barfed. I hope you know that.
It's true.
Like, I'm holding
That's how
it
the
in
world.
for you.
That's how people think.
God, no. It's like, oh my god, I want more direct continuation. I would love a direct continuation of Code Lyoko, whether that includes evolution, whether that's from the original series. Yeah, I've been into the show since it came out in the U.S. in 2004 on Cartoon Network. I love this show. However, um, I am a die-hard Code Lyoko fan, as much as I always love to say on this lovely channel how much I hate the show. I love this show, you know.
If I
And
admitted
what
it.
I know, just this once, I'll admit, I love Code Lyoko. I
Okay.
know it's hard to believe. I call
You like
myself a Lyoko.
Lyoko, don't you, Waze?
You like Kolioko, don't you, Squidward?
Maybe, yeah, exactly. Oh, God. Yeah,
Got
no, I
him.
like. Oh my god, I like Code Lyoko. It's a fantastic and wonderful show. However, Code Lyoko is a weird show in terms of like how it has continued to exist within the public space, because Code Lyoko is simultaneously a very popular show but a very niche show as well. It's
Yeah, depends where you live.
weird. Yeah, it depends on where you live. It depends on a lot of things, and it's like it's very weird because in its heyday, yes, it was an extraordinarily popular show, but even back then, Code Lyoko was a very you love the show or you hate the show. And nowadays, when you ask people how they feel about Code Lyoko, you get a lot of love. You do get a lot of love, but you also
And a little
get a
hate.
lot of you also get a little hate, but you'll also get a lot of people asking you, "What are you even talking about?"
That is for true.
What are these foreheads?
I gotta tell you,
You
that
all
joke
forget a
got
lot of.
old
Oh
real
yeah,
fast.
the show
Yeah,
with the big
no,
foreheads.
Yeah,
Every time.
exactly.
Yeah, show the big foreheads.
Every time. Yeah, I know. We're all sick of it as Code Lyoko fans, but
It's
what's it?
literally the same thing whenever you talk about like Aardman Studios and then they have no idea what you're talking about. And they're just like the Wassenground people, and like, oh yeah, I love them. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's like, yeah, that's where we stand. We're simultaneously some people I've heard the term cult classic used for Code Lyoko. I don't think that's quite the correct term. But again, we stand somewhere between niche and very well known simultaneously at the same time. It's really weird. There are not a lot of shows that are like that, but Code Lyoko really is. It's weird. It's an anomaly. It's hard to explain. But like that's the thing. And sure, there are a lot of people who love the show, but a lot of the people, and like when Code Lyoko is talked about on social media, for example, yeah, it'll pop off for a day or two, and then everybody forgets about it again. Code Lyoko posts can make numbers sometimes, but it's not a constant, you know. What's it? Yeah, I know, shocking. Not compared to other shows from the 2000s, like not like other shows from the 2000s, like your Ben 10s or your what's it? Oh my god, your Powerpuff Girls or your Dexters. Those are technically 90s, but still, like other shows. Other I know social media is not the only place in the world that exists, but what's it? It's not. It's not like the main consensus, but it's like it does show that like Code Lyoko as a show, while remembered, does not nearly hit those same numbers that other shows do, and from its time do. And like when you're looking at a continuation for Code Lyoko directly from the end of the show, it is definitely going to please the core fandom. It's going to please everybody in this call who is here talking about Code Lyoko because we know the show well. We don't need to rewatch it to jump into a season 5 today. But for most people, they would need to rewatch it in order to get into season 5. And the thing of it is that Code Lyoko, the original series, is a very tall order in 97 episodes, some of which, 97 episodes, episodes for you to watch to get caught up with season 5 of Code Lyoko. But when you look at how people watch shows today, the show has not aged well. For one, it is a very episodic show. I think everybody in this chat has had a moment where they're trying to get somebody into Code Lyoko. And it's like, I love Code Lyoko, but getting someone to get past season 1 is extraordinarily difficult. You know? It's
Yeah.
like it's the same thing. It's the same thing every single time. It's like, no, I promise it gets better, but no, I promise. Like the character development is really good, and it's like, yeah, but I'm kind of bored, you know. And like the reason they had to do that back in the day, of course, is because of the way that TV shows operated.
Yeah.
That you could not do as serialized storytelling back then. But getting people to watch it, hurdle number 1 is getting people to get past season 1, and that's even if you have a fan telling you to watch the show, because fans will tell you watch Xana Awakens first. If you're just stumbling across this show on your own, granted, YouTube has prequels Xana Awakens, this is true, but at the same time, it's like some people don't know that. Some people will jump straight into Teddy Godzilla and will be like, I don't understand what is going on, you know. And
I personally just like show them like my favorite episodes from season 1. Like, what's the best
I
stuff?
jumped
What's gonna draw
straight
them
into
in?
season 1 and I liked it.
Sorry?
I jumped straight into season 1. I liked it.
How new of a fan are you, Frongo, actually?
Last year.
Really?
Okay.
That's interesting,
Yeah,
actually.
it's very rare. It's very rare.
It's
Yeah, that's very
possible,
rare.
folks. It's possible.
Yeah, it is.
It's possible for
no,
sure.
Frongo has debunked my entire argument. I'm dying.
Oh no!
Wazy doesn't feel so good.
Do you like end of movie death scream like
I gotta
no? Overlay Waze's face over Thanos when he's dying in Endgame. Thanks.
No, let's see. Okay, Frongo, while is a new fan who got into the show straight from season 1, that is possible. Not saying that isn't, but at the very least, from my experience as somebody who has like introduced people to the show for years on the internet and in real life, and you know, it's like it is a very hard show to get people in with that season 1 hurdle. Another issue with it is that Code Lyoko, while very good, has a lot of 2000 isms to it that haven't aged extraordinarily well. I have one friend who, he won't be named, obviously, but he's one of my best friends in the world. I love this guy online, and I introduced him to Code Lyoko, and there are certain things about the show, at least, there are certain things about the show that just did not mesh with him as a person because of certain political aspects of the show that did not work. Political isn't quite the right word. Certain social aspects of the show that didn't quite mesh with him, and so he decided to stop. And I completely understand that. I still really wish he would watch the show, of course, but Code Lyoko does some things that are weird that to modern audiences are like, yeah, no, they look at
modern
that.
American audiences.
Like, yeah, some people aren't crazy about those sorts of things, and that's okay, you know. But it also isn't the greatest place to like, yeah, we're going to continue directly off of this show. And like, honestly, 97 episodes is a lot of episodes, and it's like a lot of these aspects and factors put together make it where it's like, all right, now we want everybody to rewatch this show and then watch season 5. It's like, people who grew up with the show, a lot of people who grew up with the show might do that. Genuinely, they might do that, including people outside of the greater fandom, including outside of the core fandom. Some people might do that. That's cool, but it's like it's not not guaranteed to get a new audience. The thing about that is that Code Lyoko as a show, while we are a very strong community, seriously, the Code Lyoko fandom is genuinely fucking awesome. You know, we constantly make new stuff. We constantly talk about this show. We're doing stuff like this stream, this video, not a stream, here and now, because it's like this fandom is really cool. But we're also a very small fandom, and we are not strong enough to sustain a show for longer than a single season or just a movie. I feel like if they do a continuation, they have to do that under the understanding that you're getting one. You're getting one, because it's like Code Lyoko as a show just cannot, at least from my perspective, and I may be totally wrong. Season 5 may come out and it does stupid numbers. It becomes the most popular animated show to have ever existed. It won't, but it could do that.
Yeah, can you imagine if that happens? Oh my god!
And season 5 is all you get.
Yeah, it's like it won't.
I'll eat
And
my
if it
words if
does,
that
then yeah,
happens.
if they do a season 5 and it's like it does Avatar numbers, I will eat a sock.
All right.
Whoa,
Yes.
hold on.
You hear it here,
I will
folks.
do
We
that,
might disagree,
actually.
but I don't want you to like die from food poisoning or whatever.
Get that fork and knife ready. I know, no. I mean, I gotta point out that if Kolyoko, I think it was if it gets rebooted, or no, it was if any new content happens, Colton has to shave his eyebrows. I still haven't forgotten that, and I will never.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! Why did you have to bring that up?
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome. I gotta find that tweet.
If new Code
Alright.
Lyoko comes out and it makes
It wasn't
Avatar
even a
numbers,
tweet. It was a.
I will watch.
Well, you already confirmed.
Well,
No.
there we go.
Cam sleeps next to a razor every day. Every day he pats it. No, every day.
Oh
he
my
checks
god,
his
that's weird.
computer to check for the Code Lyoko. For
Yeah,
new
the
Code
news,
Lyoko
yeah.
content. And it's not time, and he pats the razor and says, "Not today, friend. Not today."
Oh my god.
It's too good.
Jesus Christ.
It's a little weird, but it's funny.
Because he's waiting for the day that he has to shave Colton's eyebrow.
I mean, it wasn't me. I mean, he had to do it, but I might have to. I might have to.
I will admit, Wesley, you are convincing me that a continuation would probably not be the best idea, but maybe continuation as a time skip. Maybe, I don't know. That would.
Time skip continuation.
I don't know about that one.
That is a complicated. Question,
I know,
because
but to me,
Go
a
ahead.
time skip would probably work out better than just continuing off of where season 4 ended.
that is fair. Okay,
Yeah.
a time
Yeah.
skip has the
How long is the time
a
skip?
time skip has the potential to do really, really good or really, really bad, and no in between. Because for a time skip to work, you also need to. For a time skip to work, you make a lot of changes. Like a lot of changes to like.
Well, they would have
how
to.
the
Well,
characters-
you would have to do that
because-
with the original show and the
Yes,
stuff that came
exactly.
with it. So.
Exactly. Like, what's it? Shoot, with a time skip, you work with the idea that okay, the characters have aged now. How have they aged? Have they aged in a way that original fans of the show will be happy with? Yes or no? No, and it's like that is a gamble in and of itself. I mean, look at something like The Legend of Korra, for example. Some people like the decisions that were made with Team Avatar of The Last Airbender. Some people absolutely loathe them. And that is the risk you take with a time skip. When you're working with a time skip, you're working with all sorts of different factors of like, is the original audience going to like the way the world has changed since the time of the original show? Yes or no? And it's like, you play that gamble.
It's
But
different
I'm
for.
not.
Sorry, yeah, I was just in
Yeah.
it there. I was like, It's kind of a different situation because it's more, to me, it makes more sense with Korra or just the Avatar franchise as a whole than with Kolyoko, because the Avatar life cycle for Korra, but
Yes.
that's why it makes sense to me. But with Kolyoko, it would be depending on how far you're going. I don't know.
Code Lyoko could work for a time skip. Actually, I will know. However, one thing I don't want with Code Lyoko at all, because I think it doesn't work like at all, is Code Lyoko: The Next Generation.
Oh yeah.
It's a bad.
Just
a lot of the concepts for it just do not work. Like specifically, the gang's kids at the same.
I know. I hate it. I'm sorry.
That does not.
Not hating any of the fanfics. I'm just hating the concept.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've
read. I don't know.
I think
it could work, but they'd have to be careful about it.
It's just why. It's just me. It's just like why. Why?
Yeah, they'd have to be careful about it. But
hey, Ulrich, honey, why is it Tuesday again?
Maybe Kolyoko shouldn't continue.
Exactly.
Yeah, Code Lyoko should just stay dead. No, what's it?
We have proven ourselves wrong.
I want Code Lyoko to have more content. I think it would be great. But I think a reboot is the best option because for the main reasons that the continuation is interesting, I think that a reboot or some form of a reimagining would also be really interesting as well. You can do so many new things with the characters, the world, and the cast, because you're starting from ground zero. You can do something. You can even keep it very similar and very safe to the original continuity. That's fine as well. You could also there are a lot of ideas and a lot of things that you could do with Code Lyoko starting from the beginning, like things like what if Hopper turned off the computer with Aelita inside, but he's out and about doing shit himself. What if Xana is actually the good guy and Aelita is the bad guy? How does that work? Like things like you could do a lot of weird and interesting things if you wanted to, while still keeping the same tone and energy of the original show. Like you can do a lot of weird and interesting things with the Code Lyoko reboot. Another thing with it as well is playing with Xana in the modern day. Doesn't that sound fun?
Hell yeah.
Doesn't that genuinely sound fun?
Imagine, because like the world has gotten so much more tech focused.
Exactly.
Imagine that. Imagine it.
Exactly.
No. You guys are delusional. No way could that be fun. No way at all.
Because it's possible.
Xana would be a boring
because it's possible
villain.
in real life. That's why you would
Xana would be a
hate.
boring villain in the modern day. I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. But no, it's like, and granted, they could still do Xana in the modern day with a direct continuation. However, what they would need to do with that is to put Code Lyoko in a weird like comic book time thing, which I think doesn't really work for this show, but that's besides the point. Like you could do that, but it'd be rather jarring if you did a direct continuation from season 5. You could also do that with a time skip, so the Lyoko Warriors would be in their 30s now. That would be interesting. What's it?
And then the show becomes
that's
adult.
the next. The show becomes adult. And honestly, making the characters into adults and making the show adult could work. Actually, genuinely could work. I'm not opposed to that. I know I had my spiel earlier, but like, if you make the characters themselves adults, then yeah, you could lean into more of those adult themes and topics very easily without it feeling weird, But it's like, yeah.
14 plus.
Yeah. It's like, it's just a matter of, a Code Lyoko. I think a Code Lyoko reboot is rife with potential without a lot of the baggage of the original show, if that makes sense. Still keeping the same tone, still keeping a lot of the same energy of the original show, just make it new. It's a new timeline. Have fun with that, Like, that is what I would really want to see out of Code Lyoko. I love the 2000 show. I love the original continuity. I love these characters. But at the same time, I feel like there is so much potential for a reboot that you could explore. And I guess trying to think, is there anything else I really have to say on the topic?
I feel like you could make like a
yeah.
2-hour video. Just
I
going
really
off on
could.
reboot potential.
I really could. Dylan, did I hit all the points?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'm forgetting anything. So, because
Oh wait, no, you forgot to mention one tiny little thing.
What's that?
If they reboot the show, you don't have to watch The Chips Are Down ever again.
Maybe.
Oh my god. Yeah, there's also that. But yeah, also, I just think also shoot, a reboot also has the opportunity to just get both old fans who, yeah, older audiences would be hesitant towards a reboot.
Yeah.
Completely
have to comment for that
understandable.
in a second.
Reboots don't have the greatest track record, and I understand that.
Let's make it a good track record.
Yeah, exactly.
If it doesn't work out, then okay. But they should try.
Yeah. I think that a reboot at the very least would be very interesting and very fun if done correctly, of course. I know I'm speaking in a vacuum where, oh, the reboot is going to be great, but it's like it could suck. It very well could suck. But yeah. And oh my god. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, no. A reboot allows for a new audience who will be buying stuff. Granted, adults buy merchandise too, but a lot of the merchandise also comes from sales of parents buying shit for their kids, you know?
Oh, you know they're going to be scalpers for all the Koyuka merchandise that come out.
It definitely would work more with a reboot.
Yeah, get your...
I mean,
yeah, I'm selling...
Aren't there scalpers right now? Like, these toys sell for like $600 or something.
Seriously, like, it's nuts.
Selling my odd laser arrow launcher for $1,000.
Is that real?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
$1,000. I got $1,000. $1,000. The girl in pink.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh my god! See, that's a good idea for merch. Dargod, Mediatune, whoever will own the show if they sell the rights. Odd laser arrow launcher. Get on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's it? With real arrows, I think that would be fun.
No, we're kidding.
I think
We're
it's
kidding.
banned like a couple of weeks away.
I just had a flashback to lawn darts.
We are.
God.
Oh my god.
Lawn darts.
Oh yeah, lawn dots.
I don't know what that is.
Oh my god.
I
Damn, you said we were
remember
kidding.
those.
We are?
Shush.
Really? Okay, no, but for real.
You probably
yeah, it's
could get like a glove, and then you have like LED
this
lights
video is-
inside that flash to simulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's it? Oh my god. Yeah, no. Code Lyoko Reboot though. New audience, old audience, sustainable to go on for a couple seasons rather than a direct continuation is getting one season or one movie and that's it. I don't think it's sustainable, but I could be wrong. If a direct continuation makes Avatar: The Last Airbender numbers, I will eat a sock.
Yeah, but
Not really. I'll do something crazy.
Evolution.
I'll do something crazy.
I will get a gourmet chef. Prepare you the most delicious
Put some sauce in there,
and then we will record it and upload it to Cam's
This
channel.
Gone.
This is so gross.
God.
Wait, what? Oh, wait, it's okay. Anyways,
Okay.
no, I'm not going further. For fuck's sake, what was I
Yeah.
gonna say now?
It's good. Reboot good. Reboot good. Yeah. That's.
Oh, I was
that's
gonna.
all.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it does numbers for a continuation, there's nothing they can do about it. I mean,
Yeah.
woohoo, but they're
If
done
it-
with what they did. They did their project. They're not going any further.
Well,
I don't know. I mean,
if it does numbers,
Maybe, I guess they
that
can
leaves
maybe
room for
reboot
them
it.
to do. Yeah, if
Yeah,
it does
okay,
numbers,
yeah, just came to
that
my
leads
head.
them. If it does numbers, like if a direct continuation does numbers, then that will allow them to potentially greenlight a season 6 as well.
Well,
So it's
I don't know
like,
about
yeah,
that.
if it did numbers, because
Yeah.
it's a ratings game. at the end
Yeah,
of the
it's
day.
just like, man, they probably would
Yeah.
keep going with more seasons. It's just like, man, just reboot it.
If it did
I just
numbers,
don't know. Yeah,
like,
I mean, if it
I
doesn't do
would-
numbers, it's over either way.
yeah, it's like, oh gosh, we're not Avatar. The Last Airbender. We're not
Yeah.
Teen Titans. We're not Ben 10. We're not a lot of these action
Fuck
shows.
with
We
Ben
are
10.
very popular and niche at the same time. A
We're not
Kolyoko
told
direct continuation is not quite gonna work. But at least from a pure numbers game and marketing and potential to move on, yeah. But yeah, that's my spiel.
I had to say, I was saving this, and it was actually brought up just a moment ago, but I have like something a little worries me is that if they go for a reboot and they announce it ahead of time, and I'm a little like, because you know how the fandom doesn't want to. There's a good majority of the fandom not wanting a reboot, and I hope that this video changes their mind a bit more. I mean, content is content. Remember that, but just like don't hate on it. Don't like it's if
Give it a chance.
we're all Kolyoko fans. We all have this. We all agree with we just want Kolyoko content. So if it goes, delete that. If it goes to be a reboot, let's not. I don't want to like. Oh man, I forgot my words. I just don't want it to like affect it in any way. Like,
I'm with you.
Yeah, because I know
actually
fans
another thing as well. A direct continuation can still be bad. By the way,
Yeah,
Evolution
for sure.
exists. Chronicles exist. So
God.
yeah.
We will continue now with Flower, I believe.
Okay. My Kolyoko revival reboot versus continuation. I think again, I hate that it's right after Waves because I do agree. We as a fandom we just don't have the numbers for like a full-blown season 5 direct continuation of the show, because the only people who would watch that are people who grew up with the show or weirdos who got into the show retroactively, because they exist. There are people who discovered the show, today or this month and didn't watch it in the 2000s like the rest of us. But that's we're popular, but we're not Avatar popular. So I do think if for the numbers you could get like a movie or maybe a mini-series continuation. I still think a direct continuation, like this is right after the Echoes, like a month later or something, or even like the next day, is a gamble.
Yes.
And actually, I have a reason I don't think Waze brought up, but there's gonna be an issue with anytime someone decides we're gonna add more things to the canon after it's been played with by the fandom, you're gonna run into what Pottermore kind of ran into. Now, I'm sidestepping over the controversial stuff. I acknowledge it. That's not my point. Really, when the author started saying, well, this is true of the Harry Potter world, and this is true, and this is true, and everyone's like, hey, wait a minute, that's what? The problem is that a lot of people had their own headcanons about the sort of gray area that like didn't get explained but exists. And people had all these ideas of continuations and like whatnot, and then someone came in and was like, actually this is the answer, and they're like, but that's not my headcanon. So I think if you were to try and say this is my direct continuation of Kolyoko, there are so much discussion and chatter and fanfics and fanworks about answering this very question of what happens post season 4. There's Kolyoko Adventures, and there's like official, well, not official, but like animated works. What is it? There's Kolyoko Beyond 2. That's like 2. There's Project Eradication. That's like 3 attempts.
Oh yeah.
During what happens after the end of
Wait,
Kolyoko.
what's
No,
Project
continue.
Eradication? I've never heard of this.
That's not even going over the many fanfics that talk about this very question and the rant and the chatter. basically my point is a lot of people have their own answers to what happens after season 4. So if you go in and you come up with an answer and say this is the official answer for what happens after season 4, there's a very high chance that will conflict with a lot of people's own headcanons.
This is
And
true.
so you're going to have a lot of mixed opinions about, you know, whether or not, because a lot of people, now there's a general consensus of people want a story that gets into the mystery of Aelita's mom and what was going on with Carthage and Xana Returns. That is like the standard continuation stuff. But then, you know, are you going to say, oh, Aelita's mom died? People are like, well, wait, I thought it'd be more interesting if she was alive. Or like, actually, Carthage was, you know, a plan to like invade other planets because we were going to go conquer the aliens. It's like, wait, what? That's what that was supposed to be? I'm just giving hypothetical examples. Like,
I mean,
Oh,
obviously, because the
oh.
show does say Carthage was a enemy communications
yes,
jamming sort of
could
interruption,
also
Yeah,
go the more
alien.
mundane route of like, I don't know, people kind of make Carthage whatever they want it to be. But yeah, so I do think you run the gamble of just everyone has their own idea of what they want a season 5 to be, and there's some ideas that are common, but there's also a lot of variation, and you're never going to please everybody. And like the fans I've met in this fandom, they're very passionate about what they want from the show. So I do think, as much as that's what everyone seems to want, I feel like once you actually get it, it's like, wait a minute.
Well,
sorry.
sorry, go ahead. Nah, go
In
ahead.
terms of like a sort of time gap, like a time skip, I actually think that would work better, but it is also even more variable because now it's like, that's really getting into the weeds of like future predictions, because again, a lot of fans have their own predictions of what the Warriors grew up to be, and whatever answer you give is probably not going to be the same answer a lot of fans came up with. So like, though I will give merit to the idea, like if you wanted a more adult take on Code Lyoko, making the Warriors actual adults would be a very interesting way to do that. But I also think that's just a hard sell. That's hard to make.
Yes.
That's hard to sell. I would give it a chance, but I know a lot of people wouldn't.
Studios would not be into that as well. That's
Yeah,
another thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because there's just this whole idea that adult animation means gore and sex, and we all know Go Lyoko can be more than that, but you know, it's going to be very difficult for it to get out of that trap. With a reboot, you're actually going to have a much easier time with putting new ideas on the table, because now it's like, and it's also again more accessible to new fans. I didn't go over that point as much, but it's also been talked about before. Like we talked about before, Code Lyoko is just hard to get into for reasons we've already discussed. So a reboot would be easier to get people into, like new fans. It would appeal to old fans, and it would just be, you're not going to have to fight that battle of like both having to maintain the continuity of the pre-existing stuff, like you're free from that, and you're not dealing with people's own, well, you kind of are, but own pre-existing headcanons, because you are presenting yourself as this is a new and completely different thing. It's inspired by the original, but this is not the original. This is something new. So this is why I believe a reboot is just a better sell in general. That's I believe we should get a reboot over continuation. And continuation merits. I just think there are certain difficulties. It has a limited audience. You're going to have a very hard time pleasing everybody, because so many people are attached to their own conceptions of what season 5 would look like, what the futures of the Warriors would be. With a reboot, you don't have to deal. I'm not going to say you wouldn't have to deal with all that, but it wouldn't be as bad. And it's also a better entry point for new fans. New kids can stumble onto this show. And you also get the chance. Now, this is probably getting into my own opinion a little bit, but like you could now pull off the serialized show that was the original vision back in Garage Kids before the directors were like, no, that won't sell. It has to be episodic, which I would love to see a serialized Code Lyoko that just fully went with, no, we're telling a cohesive story episode by episode. But maybe that's just me. Actually, I know for a fact that's not just me, but that is my opinion. I don't know if I have anything else to say. I kind of rambled a bit. Have fun cleaning that up and making it sound better, more cohesive.
That's what I do.
Appreciate it, Cam.
Trust me, you're not the one he's gonna have the.
I mean, it's good. Wait, did I lose you?
I told him to do like 5 things.
I mean it's not. I did the first video. I think I did the second one as well, but I did the first video in one day. It took me a few hours.
Oh, yeah.
And with the oh yeah, because I remember reacting. I was like, you're like, wait, this is out already? But like I listened to everyone's takes. I took out what needed to be taken out, and then added the memes that people requested, and yeah, I got that. That wasn't one day. I was like, whew. It's rare, but I'm definitely gonna take my time on this one. Probably split it, at least get to like the 30-minute mark for one day, and then try to do the rest the other day. So we were just talking about today's discussion was the next part of like the interview, talking about if the continuation is a good idea or if they should do a reboot. Most of us obviously were on the reboot side, but also saying that we will be okay with whatever because it's new Code Lyoko content. And that's what all the fans can agree with. They just want new Code Lyoko content. So we'll be happy if there's a continuation. You have your opinion on you have your choice and opinions on both sides. So if you wanted to share that real quick, and then because I think Flower wanted to say something too.
Yeah. So when it comes to that specifically, it's like my actual true preference is that we get neither, as in the show like doesn't come back because it's a legacy franchise. I would rather it stay that way. Like the show, like I don't see a real reason or like a real need for it to come back. But if you were to make me choose between a reboot and continuation, I'd pretty much go for a continuation. I feel like there's so much potential for good storytelling to see the LWs in like their later teen years or their later like let's say young adult sort of years. And and also like I felt Code Lyoko, the original series, it had a good ending, but there obviously was a bunch of like there was a bunch of things that wasn't tied up at towards the end, and I feel like they could use that opportunity to extend that with a continuation of the series or a sequel or things of that nature. But a reboot's honestly not a bad idea too. It really isn't a bad idea, but if you were to ask me, I would just go for the continuation. Yeah, it's pretty much a quick answer for me. I prefer the.
Okay, I was gonna for those same points can be applied with the reboot. With the plot whole ordeal and extending the story, and trying new things when you reimagining the story. But we were talking about like new fans and old fans. Like if this is something that because obviously new fans are not gonna be able to get into this because they're not gonna know anything about the show. They have to watch 97 episodes for it. Even if it's a movie, if they do a movie instead or one season, like a one-off season. But they do a reboot. Obviously, you get the new fans and old fans can watch this at the same time, fresh. They don't have to know a lot because you'll learn throughout the reboot.
I was gonna say that quickly. A reboot is likely, even though I said it, even though I largely said a lot of this in my own part, but I didn't state it directly. But a reboot is more likely to be picked up for more than one go, more than one season or movie or whatever. Like it has that chance of longevity. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's also if that is like Sophie and Jerome's plan is to have a long term for this. 'Cause I don't know. A part of me feels like they're probably just going for a one movie or one season kind of thing. And if it does blow up and it does the numbers, I don't know if they would. I think they would probably just keep it and like they end it with their new ending and that's it. But hopefully not.
The way it feels like Sophie is talking, I feel like, and this is just me reading it, I could be entirely wrong. I feel like she'd want it to go for a while, because she talks about, I have all these new ideas, I
Right.
have, and like that makes me feel like I don't think she would want it to be a one and done thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not her.
if they
I
do,
don't.
right. It's because if they do
Yeah.
if they do another season after redoing season 5, they do a season 6. I don't know how much, and yeah, they can come up with new ideas, I guess, but like they better fix those plot holes for sure. That's one thing, but
Yeah.
just I don't know how much they can continue the story on, onwards.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, this is like the, I guess, like the little like selfish part of me. It's like another reason why I prefer a sequel rather than a reboot is because I want this new product, assuming that this continuation of Code Lyoko is going to happen and nothing gets canceled or whatever. I want a product like this to be purely for the fans. Like, that's like the selfish part about me.
I think that there's a healthy balance between between doing new things and keeping a lot of the same feel and tone and vibe of the original show.
Yeah.
Granted, for everybody has different tolerances for that. I do acknowledge that. I honestly, I will not deny that when it comes to a Code Lyoko reboot, I'm pretty open for them to do a lot of things if they wanted it. If they wanted to go weird with it, it would be a sell. You would have to sell it. But I'd be interested at the very least, because it's like, okay, what are you doing here? I know most people are not like that, and I understand that. But it's just like, I'm in a position where I'm pretty open to new CL I don't want it to be so weird and so different that it's just Code Lyoko in name. No, of course not.
Yeah.
But like, I do think that there, especially in the greater fandom itself, and this is just more of a people in general thing, where it's like people are at least kind of rigid on the changes that they would want to IPs to returning IPs, and that's understandable. Again, you would want this to return, but you don't want it to lose its identity. You don't want it to lose the feel of what made you enjoy it in the first place. But at the same time, I think it's cool. I think it's fun to at least give new ideas, new storytellers, new just stuff a shot. Like,
Mm-hmm.
give new stuff a shot, so long as the creators of a reboot, Code Lyoko or otherwise, have a clear understanding of both what they want out of this show, as well as what the original show was and stood for. Then I don't know, give it a chance. That's my thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
I think that's kind of what I was trying to say. It's like, definitely do the new
Mhm.
things, and obviously, especially in a reboot. And when you're doing that, keep that same tone and feel. That's what you want. Did you have anything else you want to say, J-Man?
Just want to think about it. To leave
Mhm.
anything out. Nope. Code Lyoko should never come back. That's it.
Damn.
I love it.
That's just the edgy side of me. But nah, like if the show does come back, I really do hope that it'll be a really good treat for fans of the original show for the most part, but also I guess to be something to be appreciated by new people outside of the fandom too. It's like, when it comes to a show like this, I just want it to be done right,
For
the reason,
for sure.
why all of us it's the reason why all of us except Wazy is here.
Damn. Yeah, that's right.
No.
I hate the show.
Yeah, he hates
the show.
But yeah, it's like doing a reboot or doing a continuation of a show that's we're far away from it. The show's like it's at the point where it's like over 20 years old now, and coming back to a show like that, or coming back to a property like that for over 2 decades, like way after it came out and stuff, like it can be hard. It can be very, very hard, especially when the times change, the cultural shift happened, the whole industry changes, all the people who were involved with the original show being all over the place and stuff. It's like, it can be very, very hard to revive an IP that's been long since gone for several different years, but
Yeah.
since the original people who were involved in the show, Sophie and Jerome, are a part of this, assuming that it will happen, I do have hope, I do have faith that this will turn out to be something that we can all like. I'm just hoping that, again, it's it's just done really well. It's done really well. Like that's just my hope. It's done really well. We can all like it, and it'll all bring us back to a time when we were all kids again, watching Code Lyoko on Cartoon Network and stuff. So that's pretty much it.
One thing I do want to say, a reboot. While it's true that a reboot has more of a gamble of being bad, a continuation. I said this earlier, but a continuation also has the potential to be bad. Even even with the original creators on board. And Flower mentioned Potter more specifically. I'm going to bring up another one with creators on board from around the same time frame that isn't great. And it's a reboot, it's a continuation, it's a spin-off, it's weird, but hello, Shaolin Chronicles. Because that one is not very good as well, and it has Chrissy Huey on board, one of the original creator of Shaolin Showdown, and it has a lot of things going on with it. With a lot of at least the main creator of the show, I'd admittedly have to look into how much of the original team was involved, but it's like Christy Huey approved a lot of the stuff that went into the show, and networks play into it as well. It's a lot of things. It's just like, yeah, no, just because the original creator is there, just because it's a direct continuation, it can still be bad. It still can be bad, but yeah. I'm leaning on the assumption that most people think that a continuation, especially with the original creators, pretty much has a guarantee to be good. And
that's
it's like,
true.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
This is not me dunking on Sophie.
That's
not me dunking on Sophie and Jerome and saying their continuation is going to be the worst thing ever. I can't believe that they're doing. No, of course not. I'm just saying it is a possibility. We've seen it happen with another 2000 show. It's happened with a lot of things before. Sometimes a continuation can not be great. So even with the original creators, so there is that to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, and no matter what they do, you're definitely gonna no matter what, regardless, you're still gonna have those two sides of people saying they liked it and people who said they didn't like it. Flower, did you have anything you want to say?
I really thought that Jamin was gonna come in and just be like, reboot just shouldn't happen, continuation just should not happen. It should just stay in the past. And then he actually did talk about like a little more open to it than I thought you were.
Same, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys wanted me to answer the question.
No,
like, I want to be able to like.
No, that's good. That's good. But yeah,
that was just my way of like being like respectful and stuff. Even though
that's
like
fair.
I do want to say, yeah, like you guys should like stay out, like stop being in the past, bro. The show's gone. I do want to be respectful to you guys. And
fuck actually, you just say.
Thank you. But I will, just as a counterpoint, the idea that we shouldn't be having reboots at all because it's a legacy that should be preserved in the past kind of basically acts like Code Lyoko should only live in the 2000s. It should not live in the future beyond that, and that's not a great take. It's not a great take in general because like that's basically saying, well, should every story that a kid grows up with live in that decade the kid grew up in and not be beyond that? Now, I know most reboots, they exist mainly to pander to nostalgia, but in general, the idea of taking a story and retelling it for a new generation is not a new concept created by, the execs to make money. It is a thing we've been doing for basically since the dawn of humanity. I could go on with like folklore, like how many times we retell stories about the Greek gods or like Little Red Riding Hood the fairy tales.
Lion King is
2003.
basically Shakespeare.
Yeah, that was Shakespeare's another example I was thinking of. Yes,
Yeah.
we should.
Basically Hamlet.
Shakespeare should only exist in the 1500s. So, like, you didn't grow up in the 1500s. You shouldn't be living on Shakespeare.
It's like a form of preservation.
Oh well.
There's one thing I want to
Another-
say about that, Flower. That's one thing I want to say about that. And this is gonna sound corny as hell, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Code Lyoko is gonna live past the 2000s, and it's gonna go on beyond that. It's gonna live forever, and it's gonna live through the fans. It's gonna live through us talking about it, like sharing our memories about it. It doesn't matter how long the show, like what was it, how far we were from like the first episode of the show even like releasing. We're always gonna remember it and talk about it. It's gonna be in our memories forever.
The original Code Lyoko, at least, well, barring any corporate interference, will not go away if a new version of the show, whether that be a reboot, whether that be a continuation, comes into place. Like, that art is still going to exist, and it's not going anywhere, barring any interference from corporations. But anyway, it's not going to go away. And like, you can still enjoy the original show even if there's a new version of it out. Even if it's not enjoyable, it's something that is still, even if the new version does not cater to or appeal to you, it should not dampen your enjoyment of the original property.
I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night and I'm gonna remember what the exact words I was gonna close this shit, and it's gonna piss me off.
It's 2 words. Tower deactivated. Just kidding.
That's actually how I end it.